Hello, everyone. I'm Saleha, and this is Chai Chat and Community. 2nd April is World Autism Day, and tonight we chat with Dr. Raj Khillan about what exactly is autism, where you should go for diagnosis, and the importance of maternal health nurse. But as always, before we start, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting tonight, and I pay my respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. Raj, as always, thank you so much for joining me. And as all our viewers know, Raj is a pediatrician who practices in the western suburbs of Melbourne and also in Mersey Health. He was the Victorian of the Year in 2022. Also joining me tonight is Ruchi Sharma, who will be doing a few webcasts, hopefully from this month. She's having some technical glitches, like we always do with tech. So if she drops off, we'll pick it up. Raj, in simple terms, for all our multicultural listeners, what exactly is autism and what are the signs?
And thank you, Salaha, first of all, giving me this opportunity. And first of all, like to say thank you for particularly doing this session on autism on World Autism Awareness Day, 2nd of April, and we celebrate every year all over the world. It's not only for Australia, it's for all over the world. All the important buildings all over Australia would be decorated blue in on honor of respecting children with autism or adult with autism and creating that awareness. And and this is the session is part of that awareness program which I've been running for last few years. And that is very important first thing to know what autism is and how to manage it to the stage well so that the child can be well accepted within the community. And before that, we need to accept the diagnosis to ourselves as a parent, as a community together, and so we can do the best justice to the child and provide the best care to the child. So, in a simple term, in a layman term, for the multicultural community, I would say in the child development stages, there are the different stages of child development, what a 1 year old, 2 year old, or 3 year old child should be doing. And if we see any deviation from that normal development, we need to start worrying about like I need to consult either the maternity child health nurse or the GP or the pediatrician to ask, is that normal? Maybe still it is normal. This deviation can still be normal, but it is important to know, do I need to really worry about? Do I need to do something for my child? And that deviations I will talk about in a simple term. If we take an example of 2 year old child, what we expect from 2 year old child should be joining two words together. Mummy, come, let's go, give me hungry, go out, something joining two words together. Should be able to point out the things. If I ask, where is your mom? Can point out to mom. Where is your dad? Where is, if you show the animal or picture book and you can say, where is bus? Where is car? Where is elephant? Where is cow? Child should be able to point out the things to that. And if the child is not joining two words together, having occasional single word, or not talking at all, that is deviations from the normal development of the child. That is a point of worry, concern for me. That may be an early sign of autism. If the child is not pointing out, not showing the body language and gestures, like if when we talk about the communications, it's not only we talk about the verbal communications. We talk about when we talk about our each part of the body speaks more than the word itself, how we are using our facial expression, the eye contact, moving our eyes, smiling, hand gestures. And even if the child is talking, but child is not using these extra non-verbal way of expression, and more likely if talking, the child's speech is more likely a robotic speech, like a computer robot is speaking. So there is no fluctuations, emotion, expressions, and body language there. That is a point of worry for me that may indicate autism. Child is happy in his own world. not seeking to play with other children, going to the child care, sitting in a corner, playing himself, holding a one toy in the hand, can spend hours playing with that toy rather than having interactions with the play. Maybe sitting on the same table with the other children as playing, but it is but still playing alone rather than interactive or reciprocal play. Like you can say the two railway track, they run parallel to each other, but then they don't meet each other. So something, this is what similar we call parallel play. So child is with a group but still having the parallel play. If the child is playing in very basic play but not having some imaginatory or pretend play in that, like we expect 2 year or 3 year old child having, suppose if it's a girl having a doll, how to dress the doll, putting the clothes, giving, making the hair of the doll, having a kitchen set, making a tea and coffee or something for the parents and say, mommy, coffee for you, tea for you. And if these play group things are not coming to the child from the child, that is, it means the child is having lack of pretend or imaginatory play. That is indicating about autism. So in a nutshell, I would say if the child is having communication delay, whether it's a verbal or non-verbal communication, delay in child's play skills, delay in child's social skill, not using uh, imaginatory play or pretend play skills, or doing same thing play again and again. What we call is a repetitive and stereotypical
Yeah.
play, or transition from one game to another game, one toy to another toy is a challenge. And want to continue to play something. You take to the birthday or child to the any birthday, and either the child is very much scared to go to birthday, or if it's gone there, doesn't want to leave now, doesn't want to come home now. Want to spend the whole day and night over there. So these are the very basic signs where, again, one sign does not indicate the child has autism. It's a combination of various signs we start worry about and looking more into the detail of the things does your child has concerning signs indicating towards autism, which is generally a multidisciplinary team assessment. But pediatricians can play a very big and major role in deciding this diagnosis.
Thank you. So, an ANU study found that autism is the highest in Australia among the surveyed countries. Why is it so?
I'm glad that you asked this question because I was very much expecting, and this is a discussion in vogue, a media and off media, and of course we are blaming various factors like a NDIS or anything. But yes, one thing I must tell you, there's no doubt about that autism diagnosis is increasing, and it is increasing not only in Australia, it's increasing all over the world. NDIS came into practice from 2018, if I remember, 17, 18. And since then, of course, we have seen the autism diagnosis has increased. So there is a one study, the PhD research was done in ANU, in National Australian National University, Canberra, and which shows that the autism rate has increased because of the NDIS, because of the all overdiagnosis or fake diagnosis. I agree to some state, but I disagree to also to the major part. I don't think NDIS can be blamed completely on that, but yes, it has contributed in some part of the overdiagnosis we do see in our practice. Why I say why NDI is not solely responsible for this, because the autism diagnosis rate is increasing not only in Australia, it's increasing all over the world
Worldwide. Yeah.
in all USA, UK, Japan,
Japan.
many other countries, even in India. Even in India, the rate is increasing, though it is still compared to the population, our rate is very low. But if you compare as compared to 5 years, 10 years ago, and 20 years ago, when I was practicing back in India, there was no autism existing at all. It was not the diagnosis was, autism was not existing. It was because we
No
were,
diagnosis.
yes, because we were not knowledgeable as practitioner also, and as a parent also, we were not much aware of. So second reason, what I mean to say, the autism diagnosis is increasing because what me and you are doing here, creating the awareness. What World Autism Awareness Day is doing all over the world. So parents are getting more and more knowledgeable, more and more aware about the diagnosis, and they are coming for the diagnosis early. Uh, and at the same time, as a medical practitioner, we are also getting more and more aware. What I can see autism diagnosis now, when I started 20 years practicing Australia, I have grown myself so much. I have improved as a practitioner myself after so much of training. I have improved myself so much in this field. So that has increased the diagnosis of autism uh, due to multiple reasons. And in fact, if we look back before the NDIs came into practice, in fact, the diagnosis rate was increasing even before that too. So it's not only that increased in Australia after 2018, after NDIS came into practice. So it's been increasing all the time, though the rise has been quite
Excellent.
steep
Still.
after the NDIS, and there are few cases, as I said, where there is a sort of a overdiagnosis play a role.
So, at what age do you realize that your child is autistic? I'll tell you why I have this question is because my grandson was born last year, and so initially every month, and now every few months, he goes to the maternal health nurse. And the last time he saw my grandson, he told my daughter, "He's fine. He's making eye contact. He's smiling. He's waving his hands. He's only 8 months. So don't worry, he's not autistic." So at what age do you realize that your child is not autistic? And by the way, one of my friends met him last week and saw him playing with her husband. And he was like, "Oh, good, he's not autistic." So I don't know, good or bad. There is no good or bad. But what is the age? Can you say someone is autistic when the child is 6 months old, or is it much later? Oops, there is some problem with tech today. We are having lots of issues. Uh-oh. Ruchi, can you hear me? Everybody has just gone off. I have no idea what is happening. It seems I am by myself, and I really don't know much about autism, to be honest, but I've been reading quite a bit. And I believe there are dietitians out there who say that if you have certain kind of food, your child is going to be cured, or if you have certain kind of uh, massage, your child is going to be cured. I don't know what's happening. Sorry, Raj, I have no idea what's happening. So I was just talking
I
by
don't know. I
myself.
think
But
it all disconnected on my end. It was going so
yes, suddenly it's never happened. Okay. So what
well.
age do you realize that your
So
child is
if I
autistic?
say, let's start with your last question. You said, can we diagnose at 6 months? I would say certainly very difficult to say child at 8 months being autistic. 6 months is very difficult. 8 months is difficult. 9 months is difficult. Earliest child I have diagnosed in my practice is 13 months. And that is too early. There's no doubt about it. And that was only the reason because I was following the child from birth onward for some other reasons. And then parents was very switched on. And normally we expect that a 6 months old child start laughing, giggling, looking at face, responding to the
Yep.
name. And if the child is not responding to the name, not laughing at you, not following you, when a mom is look at the child and you see the child is following you around
Yep. Yep.
the whole house. 9 months old child can have a stranger anxiety. Like if parents will, anybody else will pick the child is more clinging to the parents and not going to
Yep.
anybody's child. If the child has no anxiety at all, can go to anyone. And child is 9, 10 months, 12 months old child can wave and can say bye, or can ask you to clap, can clap.
Yep. Yep.
9, 10, 12 months old child can say play peekaboo and enjoy that peekaboo, showing this smile and giggle with that. If the 9, 12 months old child is not doing that, we can say this is not normal, but still I would be very reluctant to say the child has autism. So, in particular, that child which I'm talking about, because I was following since 1 month of age from birth onward, so I could confidently diagnose at 13 months. But in usual diagnosis is made somewhere between 1.5 to 3 years of age. And that's why when you ask me about the diagnosis, uh, initially what are the symptoms, because that's the age the most likely child is likely to be picked up, most likely child to become more interactive. We expect the child to have some words or speech or communication skill, non-verbal skill, pointing out and showing some expressions on the face, happy, angry, that sort of expressions. So more confidently diagnosed between 1.5 to 3 years of age. Otherwise, if you are expert seeing many children with autism, you are following the child, or if you are having a family history of autism, can be diagnosed early, around 12 months of age.
Okay. Thank you.
But one thing I would
So,
like to mention here, but once we have seen children, those who are waving, those who are smiling, those who are laughing at 9 months, those who are even using one word, mommy, daddy, bye, eh, and they regress in their milestones by the time they reach to around 18 months of age. And so this is also I would say, overstatement to say if a 9 month old child is waving, and or you can say interacting, and oh, this child is not autistic, does not have autism. I'm just saying because you gave me that example. So
yep.
that's not
Yep.
short. We do see a regression in the milestones in children too. And that's very common in children with autism.
Okay. This is my favorite because we all do it. Sorry, I'm going to put you on the spot. What are the myths surrounding autism?
There's many myths. I will try to cover a few of them. The biggest myth is vaccine causes autism. Okay.
Cannot believe this.
This is still after 20, 30 years of that initial research. Unfortunately, we are still facing these questions nowadays in Australia and all over the world. Same questions. I got a very good friend who's in the UK, and we keep talking about. He's also developmental pediatrician, and he's also facing the same thing. There was initial research, I think, early 1992 or 1993. This research came, only one research, and that was a manipulated research that this MMR vaccination was linked to autism. That doctors, researchers, medical registration has been cancelled since then, because that later on found that was a fake result, study, and it has changed the perception of many people in the world, and still it continues. After that, probably more than 1,000 paper has been published all over the world, and none of them has shown any link with MMR vaccinations with autism. So that's the biggest myth I want to bust here. No vaccination so far has been found to linked with autism. Number one. Number two myths. Some people, parents particularly, blame themselves that autism is because of me, because we are bad parents.
Is it
It's
hereditary, Raj? Is it hereditary?
it is we can't say blindly hereditary, but just it does have a genetic link. It incidence in familial is high. So we don't have any like 100% genetic link known to autism. There are probably more than 500 genes has been found in different children we have seen, and which runs in families, but it's not say if this particular gene defect is found, you will have autism. So some people say bad parenting. Oh, we both parents came here to establish our life. We were so busy. We didn't pay much attention to our children. We left our child to watch TV, left with a screen, left with watching phone, and we were using the phone as a babysitter, like electronic babysitter, and it is all our fault. And sometimes also this fault they authenticated by their grandparents or sitting back in India, and they blame the parents. Oh, you people are so busy, you don't have time for your own children. Child is not talking, not speaking, misbehaving. It's because you're not putting so much enough efforts. You don't have time. You send child to India. Everything is going to be all right.
Of course.
Autism is not because of bad parenting. But yes, excessive electronic screen time. As a parent, if you don't put much efforts with the child, things will not improve. It may go worse, but it will not cause autism. So that is a myth. So my message to these parents is please don't blame yourself. If your child is not talking, it's not because you did not give enough time. So don't blame yourself. It means your child needs help. There were things already existing which probably you did not pay attention timely. So whenever you pay attention, day starts from that time.
Thank you. Ruchi,
Then
you had some questions? Sorry, Raj.
yeah,
No, I
yeah,
interrupted you.
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, no.
Okay.
Ruchi had some questions, so I just wondered if Ruchi wanted to ask something. Ruchi, can you hear us? Yeah. Oh, Ruchi's frozen.
Uh, I can hear you quite well, and sorry because of the network disruption. It happened that for some time I have not heard what you were saying. Can you hear me properly? Oh,
Okay.
great.
Maybe
Thank
you
you.
can turn off your camera, but that's okay. We can hear you.
So, Dr. Raj, I was able to listen. Okay. Yeah, I'll continue. So, yeah, you were just now talking about when how parents sometimes they want to blame themselves about it. Um, but I would like to know, like, because these disorders, they also are specially abled in some way.
Sorry, Ruchi, you're breaking
So
up.
their
I
disability
can't.
can also become their strength. Like we know that these kids is so good. Some of them have been a great mathematician,
Okay, Ruchi, do you want to turn off your
physics,
camera?
and with the
Just
music
turn off your
therapies and
camera.
all those. So, what do you have to say about it? I can.
Turn off your camera. Maybe it'll be better. Turn off your
Ruchi,
camera and
because
just
we
speak.
couldn't hear you well, it was all broken up. Uh,
Can you
Yeah, I
hear us
just
now?
did that. Does it get any better
There,
now?
it's so much better. Okay. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, go ahead. Go.
I can hear
We
you.
didn't.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So can we. So do you want to just repeat your question, Ruchi?
So, yeah, Dr. Raj, my question, I repeat if I was not clear before. I just want to know because the carer's respite is very important in these cases when the parents. I have experienced, I've seen some of the kids who have this autism. They are really great with their, like, one of them is so good that he can tell me 10 years back what had happened. His memory is so sharp. So some of them are really differently abled in special ways. So what are their strengths and what are their abilities? How can they, improve?
I'm thinking of Rain Man. Have you seen that movie? Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise.
All right. I think, Ruchi, if you don't mind, I will, what I understood, do you
Person who
want
did
to?
in the tumor.
She's breaking up. So
Yes.
what she's saying is, some of the kids are highly intelligent and they are differently able. So some of them, she knows somebody who is autistic, but can tell her what happened 10 years ago. His memory is so sharp. So what are their strengths? What are the strengths of
Yeah.
children with autism?
Yeah. Uh, Look, you know, there is a one saying called there is a ability in disability.
Absolutely.
So every disability have their own ability. If you can't do one thing in life, you put your whole strength and energy to do something else and you try to get the work done. And that's happened in these children. Some of the children are very, very high IQ and they socially may not be best fit in the society, but from IQ point of view, they are very great. The strength, there is no universal rule that this is the strength in children with autism. Every child may have a different strength. Some children, if you have seen, Queen's Gambit, the movie you're talking about,
Yes, yes,
you know,
yes.
the girl which
The
is
chess player. Yep.
yeah,
The
the
chess
chess
player.
player. So she can lie down on the bed and can see the whole chessboard
Yes.
on the roof and see and can see what the how she can play around the things. So these are strength in these children. They use this strength differently. Some children can have IQ to that level. Like I have seen a child who can play the Rubik cube. You give it the Rubik cube, you without looking at the cube, without looking at he's looking at me, and in around 20 seconds, give the Rubik cube back to
Wow.
me, say it's all done. So
Wow.
this is the way of strength. 3-year-old child who is not talking, when you ask what's your name, but he can read book for you. You can read the book for you. Give the book, which 7-year-old child cannot read, can read the book. 3-year-old child can read book for you. But if you ask about what's the meaning, don't know the meaning.
But he can read.
He
Wow.
can read. And nobody had taught. Children can have strength of having
Yeah.
different speaking accent. I've seen children who can speak Spanish, who can speak English in American accent, who can speak English in a UK accent, and an Australian accent.
I've never been to these countries.
Never been to this country. They're sitting, watching on a TV, American program, UK program, they learn like this. So it's how it depends upon how much exposure that particular child is getting and how much time he's spending on that. And there is
Yes.
no way you, as a parent, or me as a medical professional, can sort of say that I want my child to develop this particular skill, the strength to develop. The child comes automatically.
Yep.
Okay. But what I want to give the message to
So
Ruchi
this
and to
means
all the
it's so
listeners,
important
sorry, I want to give
to
this
get
message to all the listener is that whatever strength you see in your child, try to encourage that strength.
Absolutely.
Encourage the strength and work on the weaknesses, and that's what we do as a teamwork when we work with children with autism.
Fantastic. Ruchi, you're still breaking up. So, Ruchi, can you hear us? Okay, I'm going to
yeah.
go
So
ahead.
Dr. Raj,
So, yeah,
yes, I can hear
go ahead.
you. Yes. I don't know if
Okay,
I'm
yep,
very clear at the moment.
yep. Okay, go, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Dr. Raj, so this means like after listening to you, I can hear
Ruchi, you're breaking
that
up. So, I'll
if
just take
we
over.
can
Yeah. You're
can
you're
diagnose
breaking.
timely, the can be made at different need one. I'm breaking.
You're breaking. Yeah. So I'm just going to ask Raj a few things that
Okay.
I wanted
Who
to.
else can diagnose that the child has autism?
Okay. If we want the confirmed diagnosis, only two people can
Like,
diagnose.
uh,
One is pediatrician and another psychiatrist, child psychiatrist or adult psychiatrist for more than 18 years of age. Nobody else can diagnose. They can suggest that there are certain signs of autism. There's these symptoms suggestive of autism. My opinion that you may have autism, but if you want a confirmed diagnosis for NDIS purpose or for school purposes, for health purposes, pediatrician or psychiatrist are the only two individuals who can diagnose.
While we are
And there I would
talking,
like
thank
to
you.
mention one thing. There is a
Thank you.
some people
And
get
also,
confused
Dr.
between
Raj, sometimes parents
psychiatrists.
may think that,
So some people get confused between psychiatrist and psychologist.
yes.
Psychologist
Yeah.
cannot diagnose autism. They can prepare the report, suggest that there is a possibility of diagnosis. Psychiatrist can diagnose, pediatrician can diagnose. So don't get confused because sometimes we get the parents in our clinic coming with a report from a psychologist. Oh, he has already
Yes.
been diagnosed. He has just said, oh, you need to go to pediatrician and get the tick mark and everything would be fine.
So before going through all of this, should the parents not
okay,
go
yeah,
to a
thank you,
maternal
thank you.
health
And
nurse?
also, Dr. Raj, if we can tell that,
Okay, we are losing Ruchi, and I think we are just getting late. So, Ruchi, if you can hear us, I'm just going to continue because you're breaking up.
I'm
Yeah,
here, I can hear you. Saleha, I
we
can hear you.
we can't hear you. You're breaking up. So, what is the role of the maternal health nurse? Are parents going to the maternal health nurse?
Yeah, maternal health can play a very big role. If you see, we given a green book, which is called the Bible of for a baby Bible, and
Yeah.
the follow-up starts from early when the baby is born and after a few weeks send over the 2 weeks, 4 weeks and 8 weeks, and then uh, uh, 8 months, 12 months, 1.5 year of age, and then 2.5 year, and then 3.5 year. In this way, there's around 6 visits being mentioned. And particularly from autism point of view, I'm talking about the 8 months. If the child is 8 months, then there is a 1.5 year of or 12 months and 1.5 year, 18 months. These three visits can be very useful. If we do see many children, those who are missed, haven't gone to that sort of a maternity child health nurse visit. And particularly these visits were all cancelled also during the COVID time. So many missed diagnoses have we seen. Like suppose if you go to maternity child health nurse at 1.5 year of age and your child is not talking anything, not responding anything, not responding to the name, then definitely maternity child health nurse will direct you. Look, I don't think your child is developmentally going okay. You need to see pediatricians. So that is a big role of initial sort of a creating awareness for the family. She cannot diagnose the thing, but she can put you in the right pathway. She can also suggest you, meanwhile you're waiting to see pediatrician, can you get the hearing test done? Go to your GP, get the hearing test done. Meanwhile, you're waiting to see pediatrician, she can put an applications to NDIS and say NDIS funding at least because it's also take 3-4 months by the time they finish their paper. So this basic workup can be done so you're not losing your time. She can also link you with a speech therapist and say, because there is a waiting for speech therapist, please start the ball rolling now. So you're not wasting your time looking for a speech therapist once you've seen pediatrician. So because everybody is having a waiting. So in this
Of
way,
course.
then the maternity child health nurse can play a big role. I always suggest all of the families, you should not miss that visit. Unless until you're seeing your pediatrician, like some children I see from early birth after they for some reason I see them and they want to prefer to be seen by me in regular. That's a different thing. But if you're not seeing any pediatricians regularly, you should see maternity child health nurse on a specified period and time and follow all the appointments. And it's a free appointment and they can be very, very useful for you.
Okay. I have Munira joining us. So thanks for listening, Munira. I have a question from Ruchi because she can't, we seem to be having problems. So her question to you, Raj, is how different is neurological development? How neurological development disorder are different? I don't understand this, Ruchi, if you can hear me. Is it a neurological development disorder? Is that what it
How
is?
neurological and developmental factors.
Yeah, I understand what she wants to
Different.
ask. I'll try to explain the things. Uh, when I say, if you remember, the first thing I mentioned when you ask about the diagnosis symptoms, how it is diagnosed, when I say deviation from the normal development. Okay, so deviations for the normal development, one could be because of the autism. Secondly, it could be because of the developmental delay, which could be not autism, but it could be because of the developmental delay, could be because of the brain issues. Brain is not developed that well. There is sometimes the cyst in the brain or sometimes damage in the brain. There can be sometimes genetic problem in the brain, cerebral palsy in the brain, muscular disorder, muscles are not developing that well, and child is delay in walking. So they are three different categories: developmental delay, muscular delay, or you can say neurological delay, or the autism delay. That is more, I would say, best we leave with the medical professional to diagnose and how it is different then. Because what I give you the very layman terms of understanding where you need to see a pediatrician when your child is deviating from the normal development. If the 2-year-old child is not walking, it could be autism, it could not be autism, but still need to see a pediatrician. It could be
Absolutely.
because the muscles are not developing well or the child's brain is not that well. Then we need to go through more other history. That is the child having epilepsy along with that, convulsions along with that, having some seizures that. If the child is speech is normal, only not walking. So there's a various factor we develop into that. In terms of the developmental delay, we say if the child is not developing more than 2 domains of development. There's a various domain of development: fine motor, gross motor, speed, social, play skills. Out of these 5 skills, we say child is delayed in 2 or more than 2 domains. We say this child is developmentally delayed, or we call them global developmental delay. And then we try to work on that, find out what is the cause of this global developmental delay. Is it a autism? Is it a neurological? Is it a muscular disorder? But the basic message which I want to give it to the community is that if you, whatever the sign I mentioned, if we feel that child is not doing the age appropriate development, whether it could be still a normal development too, because normal range also varies from here to here. You should see a pediatrician just to rule out the things. Not always rule in the things. Some we do need to see rule out the things too.
Thank you, Raj. There are 2 messages for you, and then I have a question. Thank you for watching, Nikki. Very nice of you, doctor, from Nikki VK. And it says, she says, I used to visit your clinic for your son, for my son. You have helped my son's development a lot.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you very much.
So to go to a pediatrician, Raj, do you have to go through your GP or do you go straight?
Look, it's better to go through
A
GP.
GP?
Yeah, for a couple of reasons. Number one, because through GP, when you go, certain Medicare rebate you are eligible to. If there is a valid referral from the GP, you get a like nearly 60%, 70% of the money back from Medicare. So it becomes some cost relief give to the family.
Yes.
Second thing, as I said, if you haven't gone to maternity child health nurse and you're going to GP, so these things GP can initiate. GP can link you with a speech therapist. GP can ask you to apply to NDIS. GP can do hearing test for you. So these are the things. At least we are, by the time you see a pediatrician, because once the referral is made, it's not necessary you would be seen within a week or 2 weeks. It's a month of waiting. So at least these things can be done, and the ball start rolling for you. You're not sitting waiting to see pediatricians. I don't mind seeing children, those who want to or family want to see me directly, but I prefer them to be coming through GP in terms of the Medicare rebate point of view. So they can get the Medicare rebate. If they see me directly, they're not eligible for Medicare rebate.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. So, so we've heard parents going to dietitians to cure autism. What do you have to say? I read about this just today.
Celia, you're touching on the right buttons, what I see in my practice. And in fact, I would like to add a couple of more things in the treatment, what I get from parents all the time. And one is, of course, nutrition. I mean, look, it's a bit of an unfortunate story that as a parent, everybody wants the child to be all right. And we try to do as parent the best, whatever possible within our capacity or even beyond our capacity to make our child all right. And that's the truth. Second truth is also, as a medical professional point of view, the question asked, the prevalence of autism is increasing. So problem is that big. Our knowledge about autism is this much. So there is a gap of this much between the problem and the solution. So whenever there is a big gap, there is a room for a bit of a quackery. There is a room for exploitation. There is a room for misuse of your emotions and frustration and incapacity of medical profession to meet your needs. And that's where the problem comes from, various angle. And as a desperate parent, if anybody gives you the hope, they'll say, all right, this is the diet. If you need to cut, your child is going to be all right. In next 6 months' time, we'll start talking. And you read few stories online, you read few stories everywhere. And I don't know whether it's a true or fake story, but what I talk on the basis of scientific evidences, there's not concrete research have shown that elimination of the diet or extra supplementation of certain nutrient will make any difference. Eliminations, like I see children coming with, we stop all sugar, we stop all carbohydrate, we stop all gluten diet, and then and then another one, we stop the tomatoes, we stop spicy food,
Tomatoes.
All citrus fruit. We stop all preservatives, all color food, and all that things, and then you'll see what is left for your child. And
a growing child.
For a child who is growing, whose growth also need adequate amount of nutrition, protein, carbohydrate, calories, and that's where the problem is. And then you say, give magnesium, give calcium, give vitamin D, give carnitine, give inositol, give so many. Today I saw a child who's taking 11 capsules. Yep, 11 capsules came in my clinic from who was seeing a nutritionist. 11 capsules he's taking, and then he is hardly only 5 or 6 diet is left he's been taking. 5, and for last few months, this is what he's taking. And child is frustrated, angry, and they said instead of getting better, his behavior gone worse. It would be worse because you're forcing the child to eat what child does not like. And we know children with autism, they have very strong liking and disliking, very fixed taste, very fixed texture, sensory issues underlying. And that is going to compromise the child down the track if you continue in this way. So there is no research that any nutritional alteration and changes make any difference in these children. Second thing in the same thing which I wanted to say about stem cell therapy. I got so many parents coming and asking me, Dr. Raj, we saw online on Facebook, and somebody from Pune, somebody from Turkey talking about autism, stem cell transplantation in autism, and it cured the things. And I simply ask, if it can cure the thing, Australia, UK, USA should have been the first country today. And if I will recommend you, probably I'll lose my license here.
Just become the new university for everything.
Yeah. So there is no role so far is known that it makes any significant change in children with autism. And it's not recommended. There is so many things. Hyperbaric chamber. People put the children in oxygen chamber, put the high oxygen, and say it is detoxifying the whole thing. So there is a nutritional detoxification technique is going on. There is a hell lot of things going on in the world. And as I said, everybody is trying to exploit the emotions because of this big gap between the problem and the knowledge. Cannabis oil, CBD oil is another thing. So not only one thing, there's a lot of things of myth busting and a lot of issues and parents are confused. They don't know who to believe, who don't not to believe.
Yeah, they're clutching at straws. I agree.
Yeah, and they're trying to do the best for their child. Whosoever gives a hope will say, okay, there's no harm of trying at least. There's no harm of trying this thing. There's no harm of trying homeopathy, Ayurvedic, Chinese medicine, nutritional medicine, whatever give a hope, they clinch to that.
So as we talked about, NDIS is pretty good. So how do you navigate, if you're a new migrant, how do you navigate NDIS? And to add to that, I'm going to ask a question that Ruchi has. How important is it to get an early intervention? And is NDIS the fastest way for access?
Okay, I'll pick up for the last questions. NDIS.
So is there a fast way to access NDIS? That's what she wants to ask.
Yeah, I think the only fast way to access NDIS is having a good knowledge about NDIS as a parent yourself. Read about. Don't depend on someone else. Read about yourself. What is NDIS and where NDIS support and how much NDIS can support. Going to the NDIS website. Having knowledge yourself is the most important thing. NDS is very tricky to navigate, and for various reasons. I mean, I got few parents, those who say, hell about NDIS, I don't want to apply to NDIS. He said, that's okay, but let me explain you, and I tried to explain the things. He said, and I explained that, okay, the fund, it is going to be very expensive affair for you. You need a speech, occupational therapy, behavioral therapy, incontinence nurse. It's going to cost you $50,000-$60,000 a year. And which you can get it from NDIS. Why you don't want? And the reason is, which is really opened my eyes, and this is very common thing later on, slowly I found in our migrant community. The D word of NDIS, the disability.
Oh, disability. Oh my God.
So D word.
Oh, judgmental.
D word is they don't want their child to put, particularly in migrant Indian subcontinent I've seen, they don't want their child to be in NDS because they're worried about my child is disabled. So that means he's going to be disabled, labeled list disabled for rest of the life. He's not going to have any career, any life later on in life. So some children, parents said, don't worry about the money, I can afford and I will go through my money and I don't want NDIS. Fair enough, they can afford, fine. But on the other hand, I've seen those family, those who can't afford, they don't have the money, but they don't want to go to NDIS for the reason of D. And that pinches my heart. My heart started bleeding at that time. How much our community need help and awareness about these things. And because if we keep doing this way, the child is not going to improve. The child is not going to get the help which he really needs. And that's where, when you say the navigation the system, the trouble starts from here. NDIS, I strongly say the D word need to be taken out. The D word, disability, needs to be taken out. That is very confronting, intimidating for some of the family.
Is it also Australians or is it just migrant? Is this only for
More,
migrant families?
more with the migrant. There are few Australian, but more with the migrant family, culturally diverse community. And I see probably 30-40% of my patients are for multicultural communities. And that, because that is based on their knowledge, tradition, how they've grown up their family, how the disability is being perceived in that community. And we bring the same perception here in Australia when we come about disability, and that become a problem. Coming back to your navigating the system, I think you need to have a very good pediatrician who can guide you through what your child need. Sometimes the problem comes here when parents are not guided well. Okay, this is the diagnosis, go and apply to NDIS. And NDIS would give you early intervention services, which is different than the diagnosed patients. Early interventions funding is basic funding when the child does not have the diagnosis. And they give the basic funding with a basic need base, like once a speech fortnightly or once a fortnightly occupational therapy. But the children, those who have a diagnosed autism, particularly level 3 diagnosis, they need much more intensive support initially. And believe me, better, more intensive the support initially, in less than 3 years of the child, it can change the whole future of the child and whole future of the family and of course the country, because that child would be contributing to this country's community economy so long. So you need a very right system. The diagnosis, what I feel, diagnosis from the beginning. Some parents say, "Oh, I came to you first. You said it is autism," and I said it is not. It is not diagnosed autism. It's an initial diagnosis of query autism. I told, meanwhile, we are working on that. You apply to the funding. You'll get the funding on this basis. But meanwhile, we can confirm the diagnosis. By the time they'll see you, I'll give you the confirmed letter. But they never come back.
Why is there shame?
No, not shame. Because they believe I don't need any pediatricians. Funding is started. In this funding, I can see a speech therapist, I can see an occupational therapist, I can see a behavioral therapist. What will pediatricians do here? Every therapist is doing their role, but they forgot this is what they are doing is a ship without captain. An aeroplane running in aeroplane, sitting in aeroplane without a pilot, and that's where they get lost. You need it's not only therapy, it's important thing what therapy at what stage the child is need, where we need to concentrate more. If the child is, if the child is 3 year old, 4 year old who is pulling his pant down when he's wet, I will say this child is showing a sign that you need, is ready for toilet training. We need to concentrate on toilet training here. Forget about other part. Let's concentrate on this part. So see the cues child is giving, the body language and gesture cues giving, and work on that cues and work it out. And that's how I guide my children, families there. These are the things you need to do. And then finally they come to me at 6 years of age or 5 years of age when the child is ready to go to school, because school cannot give any help without pediatrician's diagnosis. And now you wasted the 2 years of time. And that's where I say, when you are navigating the system, navigate it well. You cannot run in a ship, go in a ship without captain. It may take you to the target, but chances are less. So if you want to reach to the target, you need a right pathway, right track made for you. You need a company of right people for you, who can guide you every 3 month or 6 months interval. Sometimes we need to give medications also, which therapists cannot give. So we can give the medications, child can be aggressive, child can concentrate well, child can sleep well also. So these are the few medications we talk about. Sometimes children can have nutrition deficiencies. We can, because they are so restrictive in terms of eating and picking in eating. So we work around with that. So we need a captain to navigate the right system. And sometimes I do navigate the system in that way. I have to send them to lawyer. Say, no, your child needs this one, but NDS is not supporting this funding. We need to go to further. So we go to tribunal one, and then we find the linked with a lawyer work with them. And eventually we, few cases we have on to help the family. And particularly migrant family, in a culturally diverse community, we are hesitant to navigate this system for various reasons. We always think about, going to the lawyer is a complex system. And we, as a family, we are emotionally struggling because diagnosis of autism, we take it very personally, emotionally, and we challenge ourselves in various ways. We compromise our own health. We compromise finance also, because someone need to now sit at home and look after the child. So we are in many ways, and if we are new in the country, we are navigating the new system. So you definitely need a good help and person who can guide you through to take you to the other end. And we bring our back home knowledge of our law system never works, because it never works in our country. So that's how we need the system, right people, right pathway, right track to navigate the system in a right way. I'm not saying that everybody should go to the court and find out the way, but if there is a need, there are the ways to work. As long as it is sure that your child needs this help. If this help is needed, there are the way to work on.
Thank you, Raj. Hopefully, one day we will get everything in order. But thank you so much for joining us. Sorry, this has gotten very long. We were supposed to do half an hour. It's 1 hour, but anyway. Thank you so much, as always. And thank you, everyone who's joined in. Thank you for watching. Have a good night. Bye, Raj.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Aleha. Thank you, everyone,
Bye.
all my patients and families. Thank you.